Assalamu alaikum. Let's cook. Okay, people, these are the federal statistics for small people P or CSAM. You know what that is? That is the material that these nasty guys look at with small people. It's called CSAM, child P. Now, in the year 2025, the amount of people who were arrested for being involved in this stuff, looking at these things on devices and electronics and getting busted and all kinds of nasty things like that. 73% white, 16% Hispanic, 6% black, and 5% other races. Lopsided. They also said that 98% were men and the average age 41. So 73% white, 98% of them men, average age 41. And if you go check the years before that, it's always going to be lopsided, at least 70% or more white. So my question is, what is the catalyst that the government did, or the powerful people or the people in power, what did they do to create those lopsided numbers? What was the catalyst? So what did they do to put these guys or these offenders who are white American men in this position to where these numbers are lopsided like that? So for instance, if we say, well, let's look at the statistics of broken homes, ghettos, single family homes, people being raised in single family homes and black broken families, we can go to the catalyst, right? Which is drugs and ghettos that were put there by the government. Laws that were created to crumble the black family. We can go to the crime bill that came after the crack was put there. We can go to Reaganomics, Bill Clinton, the crime bill, Joe Biden. This is all documented. School to prison pipeline. These are all things that are documented and can be proven that they benefit from. So the catalyst to these numbers that we see is because the government created those numbers. They made a situation to where that would be the outcome. So what situation was created to where these numbers are the outcome for these disgusting human beings? Get in the comments, okay? Let me know, anybody that knows about that. That leads me to my next story. We're going to the state of South Carolina, Georgetown County, South Carolina to be exact. And we're going to a place called Pawleys Island Community Church, PICC. Now this church also operates as a private school, okay? It has an academy called Pawleys Island Christian Academy. It includes a nursery, a daycare, a preschool, and kindergarten. A lot of little people in there, okay? It serves children from approximately 6 weeks old through kindergarten, real small people. Now the heads of this church are Pastor Don Williams and his wife, Jeannie Williams. Jeannie's title is Guest Service Director, okay? There's also a woman by the name of Jennifer Nikki Howard. Her title is Director of Pawleys Island Christian Academy. We have a guy by the name of Warren Spence Perry. This dude is a volunteer maintenance worker at the church, okay? Warren Spence Perry, remember that name. He walks around, he has keys, all that. He's a big deal. He can get anywhere he wants to get on his school campus. Then we have this guy named Mike Fields. He's called the head of security. Now this church right here has been on some news outlets, of course not as big as it should be, and you can see why from the optics. Well, investigators allege that this church, the leadership of this church, knowingly allowed Wayne Perry, this is the guy who's a volunteer maintenance man, the one who walks around with the keys, volunteer maintenance man. They knowingly allow Wayne Perry, a registered sex offender who was on probation, to volunteer and work around children at this academy for an extended period of time. They say that the information about his status was concealed from parents, teachers, and staff. But the school heads knew about it. The pastor knew about it. A little bit more about this disgusting Mayo monster, Wayne Perry's past. In August of 2020, he was arrested. He was arrested in Georgetown County on 2 counts of third-degree sexual exploitation of small people. And yes, it did involve CSAM, or electronic devices, looking at stuff on the laptop and whatever, you know what I mean? Now, around this time that he was busted for this, he started helping at the church and volunteering. According to the sheriff, this guy began working at Pawleys Island Community Church right after that arrest. He's a maintenance and custodial guy, volunteering. And the church leaders described him as somebody who volunteers and he does his thing as an employee. They tried to say that he's just a volunteer, but investigators say no. He's like a full-time functioning employee, although he is a volunteer. Now, former teachers at this academy recalled this guy, Wayne Perry, as working on the campus, doing maintenance things. He's very familiar with everything. He always has the keys. And they said that by 2021, this guy was a full-fledged guy there. Like, everybody knew him as that. Now, by 2023, this guy, Wayne Perry, he was actually convicted for that crime. The crime that I just spoke about that went down in 2020. In 2023, he was convicted and he pled guilty to 1 count of third-degree sexual exploitation of a small person. The second charge was dismissed. Here's his sentence, y'all. 5 years imprisonment, all suspended. 5 years probation, registration as a sex offender. Okay, a probation condition prohibited him from having any contact with small people or being around them. So we know why this guy escaped jail. This is a white guy. White people don't care about children. So that's why he didn't have to go to jail or prison. So even after that, when he has to stay away from children, he goes to the pastor, Don Williams, and his wife, and they give this dude a job with keys. And the former pastor, Don Williams, this guy, he acknowledged publicly that the church leadership knew about Wayne Perry's conviction. They knew about it. Don Williams said they believed they had safeguards in place and that Perry was complying with his probation conditions. Nah. Dude, he's not supposed to be around children. You let him around children all day long with keys. So this guy, Wayne Perry, is running around for years doing what he likes to do, probably fulfilling and satisfying his desires, knowing that the church pastor, his wife, the head of security, all of them, they know what's going on. He's just getting off. Who knows what he's doing in that place? He's there all the time. He didn't get caught until July 10th of this year. What happened was there's a former teacher named Allie Osborne. Her and another teacher were online and they were looking at things and they discovered that this guy, Wayne Perry's name was on the South Carolina Sex Offenders Registry. They didn't know in the past. So when they found this out, they took screenshots, they showed it to all the other co-workers, and then they took it to the police. Then on July 13th through the 14th, they started an investigation. The sheriff office comes in, they talk to the pastor, everybody, they notified the South Carolina Probation, Parole, and Pardon Services or whatever. That's when they talked to the pastor, his wife, all these people. They knew about it, they let him in there, and they all got arrested. They all got arrested for this, including this guy, Wayne Perry, and the disgusting pastor, his wife, the head of security. Everybody that knew at that time got arrested, and they say that there are more arrests to come. This old maintenance man, custodial guy, Wayne Perry, well, they found out he's a self-made millionaire. He's a self-made millionaire. And the pastor, Don Williams, and his wife, Jeannie Williams, they just became attorneys of power over him a few months ago. So could that have something to do with it? Probably so. In addition, there are all kinds of big-time million-dollar renovations going on at this church, right? And they say that this guy, Perry, he was involved in some of these groundbreaking ceremonies. So they got all kind of big money stuff going into this church. This dude right here, he's walking around. He's just a white, custodian or maintenance man. And we know the nasty stuff he's into, but he's a self-made millionaire. So we know that may be part of the reason or all the reason why Don Williams and his wife are letting him around, for some money situations. But I also believe that Don Williams, Jeannie Williams, whoever, these people that know him, they're into some kind of group with him as well, where they do that kind of stuff with small people. That's what I believe. I believe that that's the connection right there to begin with, And this guy's got all his money, so they want to give him access so he can fulfill his desires and stuff like that. You know, these people are nasty, man. But I need you to ask these guys these questions, right? These people who are running around, these Mayo monsters, these disgusting Americans who are saying words like black fatigue and all that, you know, ask them, what was the catalyst that was created by the government or the people in power that produced these lopsided numbers of white American men who are into this nasty stuff? What happened? What is the conspiracy behind that? That's what we want to know. They won't say nothing. I'm just talking, y'all. Y'all know what it is. Link to the masterpiece, The N-Word is No Secret in the Service, is in the description, and also link to the email list as well. Easy.